I'm Rob Lacrone.
And I'm Tanya Kane-Perry.
With NewsWrap, a summary of some of the news in or affecting LGBTQ communities around the world for the week ending September 14th, 2019. That's the sound of the very first LGBTQ Pride Parade in Sarajevo. As many as 3,000 people marched on September 8th behind a pink banner proclaiming Ima Izaks, which roughly translates, I want to come out. Foreign diplomats joined the almost mile-long procession down the central streets of the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Marchers protested widespread anti-queer hate crimes in the Western Balkan nation. They waved rainbow flags, sang anti-fascist songs, and carried placards with messages like love is not a privilege and queer resistance. The march ended with a rally in front of the Parliament building. Pride organizer Branko Ćulibrk told the Sarajevo Times that they were demanding a society free of violence and homophobia, legalization of same-sex marriage, and health care for trans people and change of documents. Bosnia and Herzegovina is a Muslim-majority country of 3.5 million people. Islamic extremists attacked participants at queer-supportive events in Sarajevo in 2008 and 2014. Conservative Muslim groups organized counter-protests for this week, so about 1,000 police officers were deployed along the parade route to discourage violent confrontations. Sniper units were reportedly also set up on building tops. Fortunately, there were no incidents. Bosnia and Herzegovina has ostensibly outlawed discrimination based on sexual orientation, but LGBTQ people have no affirmative rights.
The first same-gender weddings in Northern Ireland will take place on Valentine's Day 2020. The British Parliament had voted on July 9th to give the dysfunctional Northern Ireland government until October 21st to enact marriage equality. Otherwise, Parliament would force the issue in January. Few, if any, are expecting that to happen, so the now dysfunctional British government announced on September 9th that January 13th would be the day. There's a 28-day waiting period after a couple submits a notice of intention to marry. Northern Ireland Office Minister Lord Duncan of Springbank confirmed the February 14th date for the first queer weddings in a speech this week in the House of Lords. Patrick Corrigan is Northern Ireland Director for Amnesty International and a leader in the Love Equality Campaign group. Corrigan said, "There could not be a more fitting date for Northern Ireland's first same-sex weddings than Valentine's Day, the Feast of Love." Northern Ireland will be the last part of the United Kingdom to bestow that right.
Brazil's largest newspaper featured two male Avengers kissing on its September 7th front page. Folha de São Paulo's dedication was just one response to an attempt by the mayor of Rio de Janeiro to have copies of the Marvel comic book Avengers, the Children's Crusade, removed from a book fair. Mayor Marcelo Crivella charged that the comic includes content unsuitable for minors. The illustration in question shows Marvel's committed gay superhero couple Wiccan and Hulkling in a passionate embrace. The BBC says that the luxury hardcover version displayed at the book fair has been available in Brazil since 2012. Mayor Crivella created the controversy when he demanded on Twitter that books like this need to be wrapped in black sealed plastic with the content warning displayed on the outside. He's a former Roman Catholic bishop who has previously condemned same-gender love as evil behavior. Brazil's Attorney General Raquel Dodge challenged the mayor's censorship efforts at Brazil's Supreme Court, arguing that Crivella was trying to subvert freedom of expression and the free exchange of ideas. Chief Justice José Dias Toffoli ruled in Dodge's favor on September 8th.
By the time agents arrived to try to confiscate them, copies of Avengers, the Children's Crusade at the book fair had already sold out. The front-page newspaper illustration mocking Crivella was not the only protest. The BBC reported that Brazilian YouTube star Felipe Neto handed out some 14,000 queer-themed books to fans the day before the High Court decision was announced. Crivella's actions are yet another example of the rightward shift in Brazilian politics. Earlier this year, the country's proudly homophobic President Jair Bolsonaro demanded that all content referencing homosexuality, feminism, and violence against women be removed from school textbooks.
The owner of Canada's first ChickfilA franchise is looking for some feathered friends. The Toronto store's September 6th grand opening was greeted by about 60 LGBTQ rights advocates. They were demonstrating against the U.S.-based eatery because of its well-publicized funding of anti-queer groups and causes. Protester Tommy King told the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, They've fought against equal rights in the States, and if they're here, they're probably going to do the same. King's compatriots carried signs reading, "Chick-fil-A is full of homophobia," and "Cluck off." The far-right evangelical Christian owners of Chick-fil-A unabashedly say that the company opposes marriage equality and supports the biblical definition of a family. They've donated millions of dollars to certifiably anti-queer U.S.-based groups like the Salvation Army, Focus on the Family, the Queer Cure group Exodus International, and the Family Research Council. While press statements from the company claim that its support for organized homophobia has stopped, reports persist that the chicken continues to supply its golden eggs. Beleaguered franchise owner Wilson Yang told reporters that, "We want all Torontonians to know they are welcome here." The new outlet remained open during the daily protests, except on Sunday, of course. Chick-fil-A orders all its franchise owners to close for the Christian Sabbath.
Married gay dads in the state of Maryland filed suit this week against the State Department for refusing to recognize the U.S. citizenship of their daughter, who was born in February to a surrogate in Canada. The lawsuit also names Secretary of State Mike Pompeo as a co-defendant. Roe and Adil Kiviti were both born in Israel. Roe was raised in Southern California and became a U.S. citizen in 2001, where he and Adil legally married in 2013. Adil became a U.S. citizen earlier this year. Both men are listed on daughter Kesem's Canadian birth certificate. However, under Trump's State Department guidelines, children of same-gender couples born outside the U.S. are considered to be born out of wedlock. Only the spouse with a biological connection to the child is recognized as the legal parent. And in this case, that's Adil. U.S. citizenship is automatically granted in similar circumstances to the children of heterosexual couples. The out-of-wedlock status has proved to be a stumbling block in the couple's efforts to have their daughter declared a U.S. citizen. The couple is being represented by the groups Immigration Equality and Lambda Legal. Through their attorneys, they said that every parent wants to protect their child. The focus here is on our little girl, whose rights are being infringed upon by our government.
The couple also has a son named Lev, born via Canadian surrogacy in 2016. When they applied for a U.S. passport for Lev early in the following year, it was quickly approved. The lawsuit charges that current State Department policy unconstitutionally disregards the dignity and equality of the marriages of same-sex couples and unlawfully discriminates against children simply because their married parents are a same-sex couple. Immigration Equality's Aaron C. Morris charged that the State Department is treating Roe and Adil as second-class citizens and treating Kesem as if she is not a citizen at all. The Kivitis' lawsuit is just the latest challenge to the Trump administration policy by queer parents. The State Department is appealing another couple's trial court-level victory.
Finally,
Chuck Grassley was there, and Joni Ernst, and John Thune, and Mike Pounds, and so many, just a whole group of great people.
U.S. social media pounced all over President Trump's latest vocal gaffe, this one misnaming his vice president. Speaking of Pence, he's had another eventful past few weeks. Pence probably squirmed, at least internally, during an official visit to Ireland in early September. There, the vice president and his wife Karen dined with openly gay Prime Minister Leo Varadkar and his spouse, Dr. Mike Barrett. Pence's decision to stay in a Trump-owned property several miles from the meeting site has angered administration critics. The vice president was greeted in Iceland by rainbow flags along the route to his meeting with President Guðni Jóhannesson. Jóhannesson wore a rainbow-colored bracelet during photo ops to formally welcome him, as he did when he greeted Russian President Vladimir Putin. Despite voluminous evidence to the contrary, the White House has consistently claimed that Pence is not homophobic. However, on September 13th, Pence was the headline speaker at a black-tie gala for the evangelical Christian group Concerned Women for America, held, of course, at the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. The Southern Poverty Law Center has charted the group's anti-queer positions, including its stated belief that marriage equality entices children to experiment with homosexuality. Meanwhile, Pence's wife teaches part-time at a suburban D.C. Christian school that doesn't allow LGBTQ students or staff. What would make anyone think the couple is anti-queer?
That's NewsWrap, global queer news with attitude, for the week ending September 14th, 2019. Follow the news in your area and around the world. An informed community is a strong community.
NewsWrap is written by Greg Gordon, edited by Lucia Chappelle, produced by Brian DeShazer, recorded at the studios of KPFK Los Angeles, and brought to you by you.
Help keep us in ears around the world at thiswayout.org, where you can also read the text of this newscast and much more.
And you can listen to NewsWrap each week by subscribing to This Way Out Radio YouTube channel. For This Way Out, I'm Tanya Kane Perry.
And I'm Rob Lacrone.